A very good morning to all our amazing viewers and listeners. Welcome to this yet amazing episode of the TIG Network Agenda here on UBC Radio. I will be your host for today. My name is Ngobi Halima, a civil engineer by profession, but beyond the numbers and structures, I am also very, very passionate about human empowerment. To be specific, I love education, quality education, and fighting gender-based violence is part of my niche. That said, we are going to be having a discussion, a topic that is very, very, very amazing. It's going to be about domestic violence. Now, domestic violence is just not something personal. It is something that is societal, something that affects everyone from family to community. But most importantly, we think it is the reason as to why we are having very many breakages and very many issues in society. That is why today we are blessed to have an amazing panel of experts in different fields, and we shall be indulging in what domestic violence looks like. How does it look in status quo today? What are the causes? How do we help the victims in that regard? So without further ado, we're going to have the panelists introduce themselves. From my extreme right, if
Thank
you
you.
can.
I'm called ASP Wakisada Yakubu, Regional Cell of Soga North.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Tony Kent Chaze, a journalist as well as a patriotic Ugandan and as well a parent.
We are glad to have you here.
Glad to be here as well.
Thank you very much. To my immediate left.
Nanda Govanessa Patricia, a journalist and also a creative. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Now, as you can see, we have a very diverse panel. Like, we have someone that is coming from the police department. That is very amazing. But specifically, they are coming from community. So this is going to be such an amazing discussion. We also have experts in journalism. Who to better have information than journalists? Yeah, so if we are to go straight to maybe why we are here, domestic violence, it is something. I will begin with my immediate right, our senior journalist.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Kent. Domestic violence, if we are to follow the report that was just released, let's say last year, there has been a decrease, I must say, in the cases. However, we do not have to ignore the very many various disparities of unreported cases. They still are very rampant, and yes, we have to find a way of engaging them. But to our amazing viewers and listeners, I think it is important that we first understand what domestic violence looks like. What is domestic violence, and what are the different forms of domestic violence?
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much. Apparently, violence, from what I understand, is any sort of infliction of pain, any sort of infliction of strain, any sort of infliction of a subjection of a denial, a subjection of trauma, a subjection of coerciveness in different forms as it might actually happen. I've heard about people talk about physical violence, domestic violence, which we are talking about today. People have talked about emotional violence and so many other forms of violence. But I want to put it just in one kind of a scoop. Any sort of infliction of pain, of trauma, of strain and stress onto a person. It could as well be yourself inflicting it upon self, you know. That all for me is violence. You highlighted something earlier indicating that was indicated in the report, the police crime report, the annual crime report 2024. Indeed, you're right. 4% is the deduction that we recorded in as far as domestic violence is concerned. But the worry was women to a tune of over 10,000 have actually faced domestic violence, while it's the men have faced it to a lesser tune, but unfortunately, even as well, the product of the men and the women are facing this domestic violence. I mean to say the children, the juveniles, the young ones. So apparently, like I explained earlier, we are subjecting different ways of torture, different ways of pain to the various persons that we live with in the society, and thus for me domestically violating them.
Okay, thank you very much. I love that you said in the report the women still are facing the higher chances. Of course, we are not ignoring the male gender because it is also very saddening, but it is important for us to understand that those are the reported crimes.
Yeah, sure.
So we still have cases of
At
people
large.
that do not
Which go on.
report. It is very, very unfortunate. To you, Mr. Ayub,
Thank you.
from the Community Liaison's office, help us understand in your
Yes,
field.
Me, the way I understand it, the way we handle domestic violence, it is more of a disease. Actually, it affects. It is
Wow.
Really, it is a disease which affects people who stay together in a home setup. So that doesn't have class. That is unfortunate. It is like any other disease. A disease has no class. It affects every person. There is no way you can say I can escape this. Maybe after putting those remedies which can help to overcome it. That is how I understand it. It is affecting people in all sorts of forms. It is that pain, as I said, inflicted on one pattern in the family.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes,
Still
ma'am.
with you, Mr. Ayub.
Yes, madam.
In your office or in your field, what, according to the different cases that you receive, could be the causes of domestic violence, the rampant causes of domestic violence?
At the moment, you see, domestic violence, it depends on where you stay, the society you are staying in, and the society set up.
Yeah.
Now, according to where I'm staying, the side I'm taking, which is the group influence, because people marry when they're still young.
Okay.
So it keeps disturbing the marriage. They don't know how to handle certain issues in the marriage. So domestic violence always arises through that factor. Then alcoholism, people over drinking. You see, unemployment has caused the challenge of alcoholism. People think of, when I have nothing to do, I rather resort to drinking. So drinking, too much drinking among the youth and the general public. So these are some of the factors which cause domestic violence, the immediate one at the start. For the start.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll circle back and tell us how you people deal with these cases of domestic violence, and whether we see a Uganda where we are going to have cases of
domestic violence. These are complicated cases.
Violence.
In nature, they are very complicated. The one you think it is minor to handle, it is the one which turns around to be
alarming.
a complicated one.
Yeah, very
yes,
true.
so it is always, we get solutions basing on the situation at hand. That is, but in most cases we start with counseling. The partners, people involved in the act, to see how, if they can change. Later, when it goes on, it goes on, then we take other necessary steps. Even they can reach court.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Madam Patricia. The panelists did mention about Mr. Ayub specifically spoke about counseling, and in the different forms of domestic violence, Mr. Kent highlighted we have psychological violence and everything. Now that draws me back to the victims of this domestic violence, which we have the juveniles or children for this case. So how do you think children are affected, and how do you think they can be better helped?
Children affected in such a way that we have so many broken families lately due to domestic violence. And children pick up things quite fast. Their minds get to have like defense mechanisms. Like, if I do this, I'm going to be beaten. If I do this, I'm going to be shouted at. Because if a child sees their mother being beaten by the father because she has not done something right, the child's brain is going to create a defense mechanism that I cannot do that. These children limit themselves. We have children growing up and they cannot even express themselves openly to people. That this child could be assaulted, this child could be bullied, but they are scared to open up because they believe if they try to stand up for themselves, it's going to create backlash from the other people. So they have things happening to them and they just keep them to themselves and they do not express themselves.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the children that are directly victims. We have parents, both genders, that come back, and because of certain causes, just like the officer cited, say alcohol and the like, they come up and the children tend to be victims of that. They are, let's say, abused, they are battered in that regard. What do you have to say about that?
Some of these kids end up running away from home, and we have very many homeless kids on the streets.
Okay.
So they do not have anywhere else to run to but the street. They believe the streets will keep them safe from the danger that is back at home. And some of these kids also grow up as violent human beings. Because they've grown up around violence, they actually believe that violence is normal. They do not find any abnormality in the violence.
Okay.
So these are the kids you find at school. They are bullying their fellow students. They are beating up their fellow students because at home that is something normal. No one has sat them down and told them that this is not right. It's inappropriate.
Okay.
So if parents could try to solve their problems amongst themselves without involving the children, because these kids are affected both physically and psychologically. If they could maybe go for counseling as parents, handle their troubles, and try to maintain a good picture before their children, or if they can't stay together, like they're always conflicting, then maybe they could just part ways and they settle for co-parenting.
Okay.
Instead of torturing their kids.
So your solution is divorce?
If the children are... Okay, I would not say that I really vouch for divorce, but if it's the best alternative option that is present, I think you would settle for that. Because some people are tired of each other, by the way.
Okay.
But because they're scared of society, what will people say? I'm from a strongly religious family. What will people say that I walked out of my marriage? What will people think about me? So we should outdo with all these societal norms and cultures.
Okay.
And look at what is best for us in the present.
Thank you very much, Madam Patricia. I love the fact that you did speak about society norms. I was so waiting for that point because time and again society, people do things based on society,
yes,
based on culture norms, which is a beautiful thing to embrace culture. However, at a point where it is affecting people that are associated with it, I think that then becomes a problem.
Yes.
So to you, Mr. Kent, what do you think society has to do with the whole domestic violence and everything? Because she did mention something about the fact that people are going to do things because they are worried about the public opinion,
the outcomes. Yeah.
Exactly, because they think there's going to be backlash from the society, from the culture and everything. Also, you could help us align the societal and culture norms in regard to the forms of violence that you spoke about, emotional, psychological, and the sort. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You see, as you asked me that question, I was trying to visualize majority of the cases where perhaps we've done special reports as journalists, and often at times liaised with our brothers and sisters in uniform, more so to do with that department. Now, you realize we are in a .com era, and with this .com era, we are seemingly at the same level. It doesn't matter which status we are, the status quo is somehow dying. Now, in the regard of being at the same level in aspects of how we are, we seemingly decline to acknowledge cultures. Say, for example, where a lady is expected to kneel before her husband, in my kind of culture, she will not kneel because perhaps the .com, the social strata,
education,
yes, is dictating otherwise. So chances are that the me that is locked into my cultural strata is not going to acknowledge the societal, which is now the developed kind of life we are living. And more so, if she doesn't kneel, I am likely to go violent, thinking perhaps she's disrespecting me as the man of the house. Now, all that for me is embedded in one element. Our mindset is the issue as society. Our mindset is locked into my society says this, my culture says this, my egos are saying this. We are having a problem with mindset. I was one of the people that was so much against the government of Uganda in the budget 2023-2024, which they read, saying they were giving money to mindset change. I was one of the people against it, and not until I had a physical interaction with Minister Godfrey Kabyanga of the ICT and National Guidance State Minister, we made an understanding, or rather we reached an understanding of what mindset change was all about. My sister, or my sisters, my brother on this panel, the biggest problem we are facing today, and as well you that is listening to us as well as watching us, is mindset. Our mindsets have been locked to a certain way that we think maybe we are either above or below others. And as such, the way we fight to keep afloat or to keep within the balance becomes a big problem.
I can't agree more. I think mindset has much and everything to do with how people act today. And
if you may allow me just briefly,
sure.
Like we made reference to the report, the crime report. There is over 1,500 cases that were taken to court for arbitration
True.
or redress. About 800 by the time the crime report came through were yet to be heard. People will tell you, even if I take my case to court, it will not be heard or it will take forever. Yet in actual sense, the courts might actually get some bit of problems, some issues, but then that eventually also comes into us and we say, the courts don't work. They don't. We can sort this, or I can even beat her and nothing will happen to me. Mindset.
That is very true. I want to appreciate the fact that the government is doing something about mindset, because I personally believe if you cannot change your attitude towards something, definitely there is nothing like progress about it. So what do you think should be done to particular, because just like you mentioned, we are having an issue of mindset from ground level to when we are implementing it in regard to the constitution, just like you said, in the courts of law, and now to the people that are not even reporting, to even now the victims, because the officer was sharing earlier on that there are people that are going to be abused but do not want to report because to them they feel like to love or to protect this family is to endure with the torture. To them that is an understanding of love or probably a good family. What do you say about that?
Even as well, pride and dignity. You realize I was noting something as you made that point. Apparently for the cases that have been reported for men, or rather the cases that have gone undetected happening to men, it's because they are protecting their dignity. How do I report that my wife beat me or my spouse or beats me actually? Because beat makes it look like it was singular, but beats me.
You're constantly being...
I need to protect my egos because I feel I'm the man. So already that in itself tells you we have that ego. Men are men, and well, spiritually, the Quran, the Bible, put us a little above our female counterparts. But what do we do? The thing is, programs like this, in fact, I'm very thankful to TIG Network Africa. Programs like this, which are rejuvenating the original defaults or the ordeals of society, are core. Radio, on TV, campaigns by police, more so the community liaison, family, child, and other related departments are very core. How? They are the ones that are reaching out to the people to help re-echo the message, to reverberate this kind of campaign, so people can know. Because truth be told, majority, even the person listening to us right now might think, you're wasting time. No one is going. Even that one person we are speaking to right now could be the ambassador for this message to reach the rest of the people that might not have heard it. So, like I said, let's go back to the basics. You and I are doing our part here. Each and everyone watching us, listening to us, can still do the same. Become an advocate. And where need be, if you are watching, you're listening, and you've been domestically violent to your partner, to your spouse, to your homestead, your people at home, change, because that as well is part of how we can curb it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kent. That was an amazing insight. And if I may add on, it is a beautiful thing to appreciate, and to appreciate change. It is okay to not be okay. So yes, it is okay not to be okay.
Sure.
So when you come out, there are people out here that are willing to help. We have different experts. I know many of us here may not have known that the government is invested in, the well-being of us. I mean, it is, but Mr. Kent just informed us that we have programs that are set to changing the mindset, and that has come from a point where the government realized people are fixated on things that are harming them. So I must say this is impressive and beautiful. So to you, Mr. Ayub.
Yes, madam.
Our panelist in the uniform. We are now diving into the legal framework.
Yes.
What programs do we have in place in regard to the government, in regard to the constitution, that are helping us reduce on the cases of domestic violence? I must say it is commendable work that we have had a decrease in the cases. However, the numbers are still alarming, and we have to work on that. So what programs, or rather institutions, are in place?
Thank you. To us as police, we have several programs to reach out to the community. We have sensitization programs. Always we go out to go and meet community members, to talk to them, sensitizing them on everyday note, to see that they change. You see, domestic violence, at times people, there are things they do when they don't know that they are really in the wrong. For instance, in some regions, men know that they own the wealth of the family.
No, they own women.
They own. So when women are part of the what?
Property.
Part of the property that they own. So we always go out to sensitize them. We talk to women and men, telling them their rights when they're in this family.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have gone ahead. When cases occur, when always we do counseling, as earlier as told you, we do intensive counseling to both children, women, the husband and the wife, so that is they learn how to stay together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Just still with you, Officer Ayub.
Yes, ma'am.
You did speak about counseling,
yeah,
which I think is something beautiful. Are there extra measures that are taken if the counseling does not work out?
Yes, of course. When you see we have always routine violators of the law. The people have taken it into their hands.
A habit.
A habit.
Wow.
That After 1 week, they'll come back to police over the same. These people always take them to court.
Okay.
Yeah, we take them to court so that court intermediates them to see how they can solve their matter, their issues. And as I told you, the most of these domestic violence cases, those one who don't report at times, they are the ones who get issues. To go to the level of death, murder. Yeah, there are people at their home, they will stay quiet, as he said, because of egos, keeping the family together, keeping my children, and at the end of the day, you hear a woman has lost her
life.
Her life. So always encourage family members to come to police to report whenever they have this misunderstanding in the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still in that line, because now this is the sensitive part of everything.
Yes.
We have the problem here. What is the solution is what we are seeking. If the solution is there, the people that are listening and that are viewing, do they know about the solution? Do they know where to go? Do they know who to go to? That is information that I think is important. Yeah. So in hierarchy or in levels, if someone did have a problem from your office, who are they supposed to go to?
At first, it depends on the level of the domestic violence where it is, because there this assault simple to us we call it simple, where the husband slaps the wife, and where they start at the level of the family member, the clan leaders, and then we go to the area chairperson, Nabachala. There are those moments when at least Nabachala is the nearby to that family, to that homestead can intervene. Then you have situation when the area chairperson cannot handle, the committee cannot handle. At times they forward, or the family, the victim runs to the nearby police station or post. Then we start from there. But in most cases also we have informants in the village, because there are those families where people are not ready to hear out what is happening in their home. But the neighbors at times they come and tell us this is happening. There is a child who is being mistreated. You'll find now the cause is this is the stepmother is mistreating the child and the father is not aware. So we always have those village vigilantes who run us up to police and informs us. Then at a higher level, because there are those one which can be difficult for police to handle when people have failed to settle, then we forward it to court for further management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It is important for us to note, our beautiful viewers and listeners.
Sorry to interrupt.
Mr. Officer, I'll be getting back to you.
Okay.
We are going to have a short break, and when we come back, we are going to indulge more in what solutions do exist. If the problem is economical, how then do the community leaders or people out there help this person? Let's speak about the victims, the children. How do we help these children? How do we help the victims in the long run without distorting their mental health or anything? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second session of our amazing session. It is TIG Network Agenda here on UBC Radio. Now, if you follow back to our first session, we were discussing domestic violence. And in our first session, we discussed the different forms of domestic violence. We mentioned psychological, emotional, name it, the different types of violence. And also we did mention that the victims could be obviously the male and female, but also time and again the children are affected directly and indirectly. We have those that are directly beaten and those that psychologically are affected. They get traumatized or sometimes even get a mindset change that becomes problematic in the long run. Now, the bit about the second session is that it's actually going to be fun. You are not ready. We're going to discuss the way forward, how we can help the victims. What support do the victims need? But most importantly, we want to understand what is causing these victims, or rather stopping them from reporting these cases. Because I want us to appreciate that even when we have very many cases of domestic violence at hand, we still have very many cases that are not being reported. Now, we are not going to solve the problem of domestic violence if we still have people lagging behind. So I'm going to begin with Mr. Kent. What is your take on the current status quo? Because statistics show that in as much as we have very many cases that are being reported, that is 10,000 plus, we still have cases that are not being reported. And that becomes problematic. Where do you think the problem is?
Thank you. You see, you're preempting me every time you're coming through, because I was thinking about the situation of whether or not we know that we can be helped. Because many at times, a young girl, a young woman will leave her family, and she thinks and feels if this man beats her up, all she has to do is to stay in the family and not report to Papa, not to report anywhere. Why? She feels she's supposed to be where she is. But in the aspect of that lack of knowledge, or maybe I would dub it ignorance of sorts, we have CID departments. We have the CLO departments, community liaison. That is the community liaison officers in the community liaison departments. We have the child and welfare departments. We have such persons on the village committees, But do we know is the other question. We have on the committee of the LCs, the local councils, we have the officer who is in charge of family issues. But the question is, do we know? That is what we need to be finding out. Because, truth be told, if we knew all these things, then it would be easy to go about them. Well, the ego, as we talked about it, might stop us from reporting, or even as well, the lack of knowledge of what next to do when situations of this kind befall us. But even as well, I think it was Afande Ayub highlighting it, that poverty levels have actually been an issue, where perhaps there is that disparity. Maybe one has the money, the other doesn't. Or the one who has the money is misusing it, so the other feels abused and then begins to advance. The advance turning out to be violent, or the reaction of the other victim turning out to be violent. What am I saying? Chances are all these situations are coming together and disturbing us. Recently, we had an issue around my vicinity, and the ladies did a lot of screaming. So I asked my nephew, what's happening in the neighborhood? Before we could know what else was happening, the noises were, he wants to kill me, he wants to kill me. So we tried to talk back. What's wrong? Please come and help. So this person hears us and comes and says, I'm the husband. The lady from inside says, he's not married me. He's never married me. What I did, I had a contact, CID. Called CID, asked for deployment to help this person. As I called CID, I also made an advance to call the local councillor and the secretary defense. These people exist to us. Are we using them? Now, in my understanding, I used them and they swung into action. They came in, they sat down these two, the couple, and eventually proceeded to police to have the dispute recorded, that is for statement writing. Do we know these things? Kent knows these things. Mr. Ayub knows these things. He's the officer that implements law. Patricia knows these things. You know these things. But someone watching us, listening to us, might not be knowing these things. Let's try to be within the scope of what we need to know. Let's try to know what we need to know. And that is how we can then put into action that knowledge we shall have gotten.
Mr. Kent, if I may, you did mention that there are cases where maybe one partner is more economically capacitated compared to the other, and it usually causes, those
disparities
indifferences and stuff like that.
Yeah, and one might even get scared to report because they are financially relying on this.
In
person.
fact, that's what I wanted.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Patricia.
I've also seen cases where the fact that you're not economically capacitated is a problem.
Yes.
I do not have the money, but because the person I think is supposed to give me the money also does not have the money, becomes a problem. Because, like, there are cases where, let's say, because as a lady, I am not getting the necessities that that I'm supposed to get from my husband.
The basics.
Exactly, the
basic needs.
Maybe
essentials.
the lady is forced to
report,
go outside the marriage.
That is going to bring
I don't know.
issues.
I think we've seen these cases, right?
That
From
is
that,
true.
I will psychologically be affected, much as
Yes.
I am
As
the
the
whole
man.
reason for which you did it. I
Yes.
begin to get psychologically disturbed.
Yes.
Now already that's violence to me.
Yes, that is
Yes.
violence.
Before I even
totally agree
inflict
with
violence,
that.
physical violence on you.
And that psychological violence might
lead to
the physical.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
the physical.
So, in your understanding, Madam Trisha, do you think it is right for ladies or even the men to be going out there and, I don't know, make it a prerequisite to do things that are in the long run going to create violence within the family? And if not, what should be done?
But I do not agree with me or any other woman going outside your marriage or relationship
Okay. Yeah.
to see someone else that they can meet your basic needs that your partner cannot meet.
Okay.
Why don't you just think, like, why don't you just use your mind and
Think outside of the box.
yes, like, you may not really have a
Patricia,
9 to 5 job.
Patricia, is that possible? Let's say in the Eastern. I know Fisa Ayub is yet to tell us, but this is where these are the highest of rates.
The
Is
highest
it
rate of
possible in the
domestic-
Eastern Uganda, the woman thinks outside the box with the rates of
I
poverty?
know
on that
those
side?
guys
No.
are not well educated.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Majority, yeah,
Yes,
it is
majority.
true, it is.
Yeah.
Those guys are giving birth at the age of 10, 11, 12.
Oh.
This is
Yes.
very unfortunate, and that, by the way, is also one of the causes
So,
of domestic
being
violence.
in the urban setting, we are lucky to really have education. But those guys are getting married and giving birth at really a young age. Someone that is supposed to be in school is out there bearing children.
Okay. Yeah, that is very, very
So it
sad.
could be quite hard in the Eastern region. There are a lot of things that have been done in community to uplift the status of these guys.
Okay.
So yes,
Like
we have the
selling
PDM.
food,
We have
crafts,
the PDM money that has been
projects.
yes,
Yeah,
that has been
government
put
projects,
out there.
initiatives.
So yes, it's upon the local leaders in communities to support these guys to lift them out of that poverty.
Yeah.
Instead of misusing the funds for their own selfish interests, they should make sure that these funds are given to these individuals that need the funds, and they enable them to at least elevate their standard of living
Okay.
to get better. So that way we'll have less people going out of their relationships to just to
seek
meet
help,
basic necessities that they could actually get for themselves even without having to rely on their
On their
partners.
partners. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
You could start small. You don't need to have a multi-million business. No. You could really start small, crafting. You have a garden, farm your produce, and put it out on the market. If the market is quite far from you, you could start with the people in your surrounding, like your neighbors. You tell them, I have this, and they, slowly by slowly.
Patricia, you want to
But
tell
not
me
very
that
patient.
what the lady has or rather needs, she's going to go to the garden, plant, and then she's waiting for it to
Wait.
come as the plant is also growing. Eh? Hey, it's not easy.
Oinokiyango mchala, but not you necessarily having to sleep around
Yeah,
with different
sure.
people to get. You have a family. at least you would rather
Wow.
borrow money from someone and be like, within this period of time, I'll be able to pay it back.
Okay, I get that. Also, if I may say, sometimes when the partner that you expect to provide for you is like financially incapacitated, what normally happens is that this person, like you said, like Mr. Kent said, they will be emotionally down.
Yeah.
They're going to be so. to some men, maybe if even women, they think alcohol is the solution. That is why we see cases of someone becoming, like, getting drunk and coming back and causing violence.
Actually, now even in the eastern region, usually, I think it's even the women working more than the men.
And apparently, one of the reasons why violence is befalling us is the fact that for marriage to stand, that communication that our grandparents often talked about, which is the physical intimacy, it also fails drastically if alcohol is in the picture.
True.
Because chances are performance will be so dismal, and even as well the hormonal reaction, your hormones might not react for your kind of indulgence in the physical intimacy, and that way you begin to battle. Yes, because what you want, she can't give you. What I have, I can't give her.
And putting her right, you see, the well-being of the husband or the man at home doesn't necessitate that the woman has to cheat, because the man can't provide. At times it is an habit.
By the way, some people it's in their nature.
At times it is an habit. You'll find the man has provided everything, but the man still moves out. It is very few instances where women who cheats on the basis of the man failing to provide.
But the women are very patient human beings.
It is on very few bases where women go out to cheat because the man has failed to provide. But you see, cheating is the fastest ticket to death. I don't say, especially on the side of women, because they have not realized it. But most of the murders that we have, homicide cases, will come from that act of cheating. So we always encourage women, if you are fed up of the man, you are fed up of the marriage, you rather leave. Because the next thing it will be just a case of murder.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kent. Before I want Patricia to engage on something, then I'll come to the officer. You did mention something about the incident that you shared about your neighbor. Exactly. What stood out for me is when the man came out and said, I am the husband. Yes. So what gives you the right? The lady responded by saying, he has not married me.
Actually,
two things, if I may.
Please.
The lady is trying to tell us that in the event that he had married me, this would be condoned.
It would be okay.
It would be okay. Then also, the man is saying, the fact that she is my woman gives me guarantee.
Actually, it is two-way.
Exactly.
I'm seeing it in a security perspective. I'm sorry. I'm not disrespecting Mr. Ayub. The man is telling us I'm the husband for us to know that actually there is no danger. This is my woman.
Going to happen.
Yes, there is also that.
No, it is now background, the culture that I own her.
Exactly.
Yes, she's my property. So,
and it is very unfortunate. Now, Madam Patricia, in your understanding, do you think that because someone is married to another is prerequisite enough for them to be violent towards them? And as a lady, do you think just because someone is married to you gives them the right to do whatever they are doing, or even then for you to totally agree with whatever they are doing, even if it's affecting you?
No. You marrying me or paying my bride price whatsoever does not give you the right to insult me, to strain me, to abuse me in any other way. It was a union between two people. We came to an acceptance and they're like, you know what? We should become one. But if you feel like you're tired of me or I can no longer stay with you, one of us can leave for the peace of both of us. You do not have the right to abuse someone just because you married them, paid their bride price. No. I think some of these women are scared to speak up because they are financially reliant on these men.
Yeah.
And now for her case, they're not legally married. they're cohabiting, right?
Yeah.
They could have done it for many years. So there are chances that even the woman eloped from
home.
From
home.
Exactly.
So this abuse is ongoing, but she's scared to go back to her family members and tell them that, you know what, this and this is taking place.
the case.
So the shame, the guilt is stopping her from seeking for help, which
Okay.
could end up leading to death
Yeah.
because she's silent about what she's going through.
And she thinks she cannot get
So
the help.
luckily, these people were able to hear that day when the abuse was ongoing. But there is a possibility that that abuse had been ongoing for a long period of time, and
Or
she had
maybe
been containing it
other
for
cases
she had
where
been
someone
containing
would
it,
not
but then this
hear.
time she's like, you know what, enough is enough, let me scream for help. So yes,
It's very unfortunate.
On the same note, even the fact that she's not legally married, even in herself, she sees as if she's not the rightful person to be in the home. She wants to get she wants to get be legalized.
Officially.
so she will,
Official.
she
So
will
all the
bear with all the abuse because she's like, this man, okay, will see that I'm really tolerant and patient,
Yeah.
and he will legalize our relationship.
Yeah, even the violence could be coming from that.
Unfortunately, that is how most people out there think.
So people see the red flags, but they ignore all the red flags.
Yes, I want to say that.
But allow me, Madam Moderator. You see, I attend functions, but the mere fact that parents have actually attached the value of a girl, the one we marry, we the men, to the equivalent of currency, somehow, for some men, not myself in particular, we take it that now that's my property. You see?
Yeah.
Because apparently as well, even you as you leave your families for marriage, your parents are probably selling you off. Because how they are asking for what used to be the so-called bride price. Because apparently we confuse dowry and bride price. The Westerners do it well. The man's family receives dowry. The man's family gives bride price to the lady's family. Now, unfortunately, bride price is actually the price of a bride. And for some men, this mindset is a problem. Ono mkazi wange, she's my property, I can beat her, I can do anything.
You'll even go and report to your family. Actually, there are these men, your family really respects and, respects this man so much that even if you report to them, they'll be like,
they will not side with you.
Omwami wafe. So yeah, those things.
They still blame the wife, the woman.
Even, by the way, you even asked us, although the question was to me, some of the causes which we've been highlighting. I often read, I once read the book, The World's Most Notorious Men. I don't remember which edition it was. It was talking about the Carlos the Jackals. It was talking about the Jack Reachers. It was talking about the Pol Pots, the Napoleons, the Idi Amins. But you realize all of these men, for whatever they became in adulthood, they had a subjection in childhood. Some people are doing domestic violence because of what they experienced when they were children, what they saw, what they were subjected to, and what they eventually take on when they become adults.
Yeah, I was also actually reading somewhere where they say the boy child today is acting the way they act because they believe they have been nurtured from childhood that you are supposed to be a man. You're not supposed to break down. You're not supposed to do anything that is going to make you look very weak. So everything you do has to be manly, and that even has to mean controlling your wife despite the outcomes. That there is very, very unfortunate. Mr. Officer, you did speak something about legitimate marriages and everything.
Unions.
Yeah, I want to ask something about the current status quo. Does the police particularly cater for, because if you noticed, we've been circling about the fact that some people may fear to report because they are not officially married or legally married.
Yes.
So they will feel like they cannot get help. Are there programs that cater for people? Because the Constitution, when they are explaining domestic violence, speaks about partners and people that are married. Is this tied to only people that are officially married or people that have stayed together? People have to understand this. There are people out there that think it's only people that are officially married that can get the help from the government. So are there any ties to that?
No. To us, so long as we're staying together as a family, that is enough.
Okay.
These are the issues of legally married. Actually, at the moment, even they don't stand. So long as I've been staying together for a given period of time, the behavior.
If you could be more elaborate,
when the behavior shows that these people have been staying together.
So if people support Honorable Sarah Pendi, even who was advocating for 6 months together, declare them married.
At times the situation is. The situation can show that people are married. They have been together for so long. However much somebody has been is not legally married but has been in the marriage for over 20 years. Then you a man stand one day you some selling off the house, but you have children and you see, so you have taken most of the youthful time for this person working for you in your home, raising up children. Now you are saying me, I've not married you legally. I'm selling off the house. I'm selling off the land where cultivation take place from. So at times we intervene, and the issue of legality of the marriage, it doesn't stand because now you have responsibility to take care of both of you.
So for as long as you are staying together, you do not have to.
The law doors are open.
The law doors are open.
They're not
Impressive.
to the couples.
They're not limited to.
They're not limited.
The married.
With this, it has no restriction. Then there is the issue of not reporting to police. Now we have scenarios where people come and report and don't come back. The loss of interest. You see, women, the way at the start I said, domestic violence, it is very complicated because today woman who has come bleeding, blood flowing everywhere. Tomorrow you come and say, I want my husband home.
Exactly.
So as you as police, what will you do? The woman will start even crying, me, I want to go with my husband.
Let's talk about like financial instability.
Yes.
You've arrested a husband.
Nobody's
He's the breadwinner. What are they going to do?
At the end of the day, you sit, you cancel. But when you know that this man would have faced the law and it would have been released through court, but now the lady, she's saying, I want to go with my husband today.
Penalties for the perpetrator?
Yeah, in the court there are penalties, but now as at police level now we have no.
Okay.
Yes. So what we do it is cancel them and they go home. Now when they reach the village, when they go back, now they not brief the village how the husband came out. Now it comes back to police valid denguzi. They have extorted, their man has given them money. But at the end of the day, because the woman will not have that time to explain to the village which they still there from the husband. But they will see the husband back the following day. You see, so these are the most of the scenarios which affects our work. The man will come crying, nobody is taking care of the children. I want my husband. Then there is interference from family members also. They suppress the woman to withdraw the case.
And submit to the man.
At the end of the day, you call for the complainant. The complainant will be nowhere to be seen. At the end of the day, you send you see people standing up for the suspect. So in most cases, it is not police that is filing these cases. It is their complication in nature. The strings attached. This husband is the sole provider of the family, and the cultural norms that you see. How will you be seen on the village? You imprison your husband. So you imprison the husband for that long. So also it affects your work.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one last one before we get to the beginning of the end.
Yes.
The the community today has problems, and one of the biggest problem is that people have lost faith in the system.
Yeah.
It is important that we address the fact that the people that are supposed to help us are the people are afraid to go to. What do you think that could be the problem, and how do we solve that? It's an open question.
To me, it is ignorance of, at times, the complainant or the victim. You see, there are various steps where these cases, where they start from and following up the matter up to court. You see, the victim, the suspect will be released from court, and the suspect will say the police release the suspect.
If we can summarize that, so Mr. Officer, you are saying the problem is not with the system. The problem is with the people.
With the public, to understand how to follow up cases, their cases.
Okay, thank you very much. To you, Mr. Kent, we have cases where people believe the problem is the system. What do you have to say about that?
Briefly, I'm keeping my eyes on at the camera because we also have people watching us right now.
Yeah.
I believe it's a two-way. How? There are those that say the system is not working because they've not experienced how the system works. For some of us that the system has helped, we know the system works.
Okay.
What was the question again?
Do you think the system has a problem or has contributed to the fact that people do not report?
Yes. There are just some pockets of the problem, like Mr. Kale Kaihura before, as he was IGG, used to say it, or perhaps his boss, that there are some pockets of weavers, kaukumi, but the systems work.
Okay. Thank you very much. To you, Madam Patricia.
Yes, please.
In a minute, do you think the system is the problem? Why are people not reporting to the police? Because there is a say that the police will not help them. If I may be more elaborate, that if my husband has the money, they are going to pay their way out of the crime. So it's pointless for me to keep reporting. Do you think that is the case?
So yeah, the system is working, but you could say that it's working at a slow pace. Now, if the police does its job of arresting the suspect and then taking this person to court, the courts suffer with a problem of case backlog.
Okay.
They have very many cases that have been sent to them, but these cases are not being worked on. All certain cases are being given priority more than the others. So if someone waits for years and years and nothing is being done, or that case is not being worked on, they're definitely going to lose trust in the system.
Okay, thank you very much. As we get to the end, or rather beginning of the end of this amazing show, I must say it has been a wonderful one. We've had very, very amazing insights about domestic violence. And to our beautiful listeners and viewers, I hope we have learned a thing or two. So, to our panelists, before we get to closing, or as we get to the closing, I want, in 30 seconds, if that is possible, or a minute, for us to have departure notes for the viewers and listeners. What do you think is the problem? What do you think can be done? What word do you have for them in regard to domestic violence? From my extreme right.
Thank you so much. The way I see domestic violence, as I said at the beginning, it is a common disease too. To our family setups, it cuts across. I just encourage them, our doors are open, always to endeavor to come report whenever this happens, this domestic violence happen, because it is not restricted to those who are living in poor condition. It is cuts across in those who rich, poor, educated, non-educated. So for my last remarks, I encourage the public, whenever they are, always to report when these issues are raised concerning domestic violence. Report to LC chairpersons, come to police, so our doors are always open. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Kent.
Well, just like you asked us, mindset is my parting shot. Mindset is a big problem. Let's work on our mindset. Let's drop the egos. Let's drop the pride and uphold the reality of how life should be. A harmony. then too, systems are working. It's only you who says that my brother here and the system of the police is not working. It could be true. Among us, they might be some bad elements, but these systems are working and they can help you well when it comes to issues of domestic violence. Trust in them, trust in the people, the local leadership, trust in as well people like us that are opinion leaders, and into the world of media.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kent. If we may get your departure shots.
So yeah, speaking about domestic violence, I would ask the person out there watching us and listening to us to keep themselves updated with the laws, because ignorance of the law is no defense. So knowing the law is going to help you to know the right people to report to, the right laws to use to defend yourself against this person that is abusing you. But without you knowing the laws that are put in place to protect you, you're going to keep on tolerating the abuse from this person. So yes, keeping yourselves updated with the law, watching various TV shows and programs, educating you on how to protect yourself from domestic violence is really important for people in community.
Okay. Thank you very much to our amazing panelists for accepting to be here and enlightening the viewers and listeners about the beauty, or rather understanding, of domestic violence. Now, at the end of the day, what is important is for us to appreciate that even when we think things are failing, there is always hope for all of us. Today we have discussed domestic violence. We've understood the different forms of domestic violence and appreciated that we have solutions that exist, even when people do not know how to get there. It is important to understand that when you are in a problem, it is okay to seek help. It is okay for you to want, or rather, it is okay for you to do something that is going to make you a better person. The primary goal here is for us to rejuvenate the glory of families. Let's help our children. Let's not break our families. Because at the end of the day, even when we have very many systems, we still have stigma that exists. We still have an empowerment problem. We still have very many gaps that we can only change if, one, we change our mindset, appreciate the system, but most importantly, love ourselves. Let's love ourselves to know when to report and know when to say no to domestic violence, because only and only then shall we stop this. I want to say thank you very much to everyone that has been listening. Till next time, I remain Ngovi Halima, your amazing host. Do not forget to always tune in to TIG Network Agenda on UBC Radio, because we'll be getting you amazing topics and discussions of how to understand our way in life, but most importantly, how to rejuvenate and glorify the honors in our families. Till next time, bye.